Muito bem. Penso que estamos todos com a câmera ligada, certo? Paulo, do you want to start?
Sim, eu estou aqui no sítio muito. Não estou no melhor sítio do mundo, estou entre o restaurante e o refeitório da escola, mas para falar convosco é sempre qualquer sítio é bom e para dar início a esta iniciativa do Talent Spot, qualquer local é bom. Antes de mais, uma palavra de agradecimento aos nossos colegas e antigos alunos. Sem a vossa participação e a vossa intervenção, não conseguíamos certamente fazer e organizar este momento. Uma nota também positiva para o trabalho desenvolvido pelo Zé Carlos na gestão deste projeto que é o Talent Spot e que, no fundo, é um conjunto de iniciativas que a escola cria, organiza e implementa para aumentar e para melhorar as competências que os alunos adquirem durante a sua passagem pela escola. E uma terceira palavra para os que vão assistir. A formação e a nossa preparação profissional não se esgota meramente naquilo que fazemos e que aprendemos nas escolas e na escola. Ela é complementada todos os dias com todas as iniciativas e todas as atividades que nos acrescentam valor. Este momento que hoje organizamos e que levamos até vós tem exatamente esse objetivo. É partilhar convosco as experiências dos vossos colegas, aqueles que já passaram pela escola, seja esta, seja a do Rua do Bom Jardim, e permitir-vos perceber como é que eles gerem o seu dia-a-dia, usam as competências que adquiriram durante a sua passagem na escola, na gestão do seu dia-a-dia, na forma como organizam as suas funções, executam as suas funções, realizam as suas tarefas, no fundo, na forma como gerem as responsabilidades que estão atribuídas e gerem-nas de facto e impacto com muito daquilo que aprenderam na escola e receberam da escola. Este momento é, por isso, muito mais importante do que aquilo que parece, porque reflete, de facto, uma visão que a escola tem de uma formação mais holística, como agora se diz. E, portanto, nós não nos interessa apenas criar condições de formação na sala de aula, no espaço de formação prática, mas sim em todos os momentos e em todas as oportunidades que temos. Daí esta conversa alargada que vos vamos levar até vós. Escutem, aproveitem, não deixem de colocar questões, perguntem aos vossos colegas como é que foi a passagem deles por aqui, o que é que os influenciou, de que forma é que os influenciou e os transformou, porque é disso que nós fazemos. Nós, Escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto, transformamos quem chega até nós, quem aposta em nós para ter uma carreira. Obrigado e já sabem, é a Escola da Tradição Sinova. Um abraço grande e os meus agradecimentos mais uma vez a todos os nossos colegas pela vossa disponibilidade, pela vossa, pela vossa abertura e empenho em ajudar a escola a ser ainda melhor. Muito obrigado e bom trabalho. Com licença. E eu agora vou embora. Vou para outra freguesia. Está bem? Prazer em ver.
Toda a gente com saudades, todas com saudades. Ora, muito obrigado, Dr. Paulo Vaz. Ora bem, bem-vindos, welcome. So we're going to do this both in Portuguese and in English, if you don't mind. Okay, since now we are a school full of a lot of foreign students, so it only makes sense. Mas quero começar por agradecer aqui aos meus estimados, caríssimos e queridos alunos da Escola de Hotelaria por estarem este bocadinho connosco e partilharem as vossas experiências no que respeita aos desafios que têm enfrentado em estar em países diferentes, as oportunidades que vos têm aparecido e surgido e que vocês tão bem têm aproveitado. Portanto, gostaria de começar por vocês, agradecer imenso a vossa presença, muito obrigado, do coração. Portanto, vão lá mesmo assim um coração. Queria agradecer também a quem está a assistir, portanto vai ser gravado para que depois possam ver noutras situações. Bom, so just a little bit of English, okay? Thank you so much for being here. It's nice to see my students that I've known for so many years now, and I do appreciate that you want to share with the rest of the school, with the rest of the community, what you've been doing, the challenges you've been facing in the countries where you're working, and also what strategies you've been using. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So I would like to start to introduce you guys. Okay. to the rest of the community. So I would start first with the ladies. I think it's still part of the protocol, right, guys? So I would start with, regardless now, okay, with Larisse. Okay, she studied F&B management from 2011 to 2012, right? She's an event and bookings manager in a restaurant group in Australia. Okay, thank you. She's a recent mom, by the way. She just had a baby called Luca. Very good. Congrats. Congratulations. Congratulations. Amazing, amazing. And so thank you so much. Then we have Anna Malta. Hi, Anna. Thank you for being here. So she took hotel management in 2007 to 2009, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay. She's the general manager for the opening of the IHE in Mozambique. Quite true? Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We also have José Pedro. I hope everything is okay with the connection. Mr. Antonio, I think there's been a problem again. Okay, so, but I still introduce him because Mr. Antonio is going to rescue him, I'm sure. Okay, so José Pedro, he took management and hotel techniques in 1979, 1982. So he's the youngest, like me, here in the group. Okay, he also did an international master in sustainable tourism. He has already published 3 books, one in kitchen, another one about poetry, and a story also called Acorda. He's the ambassador of Cabo Verde Republic in Brazil. Okay, I think he's trying to come in. Okay. Then, so thank you so much. José Pedro, are you able to hear us? So welcome to these challenges that we have, that we're always facing now, but it also enables us to be all together. Then I have here as well Cristiano, okay, so he did all hospitality operations. Can you correct me which year you were here, my dear? 2010, 2012?
I graduated 2011, so
in 11, okay, so yeah,
99, sorry,
2009, 2011, yes, because you experienced the new school, right? You did
Both
the premiere
schools.
of the school. Exactly, that's it. Very good.
Last year of Bon Jardim and first year of...
Very good, you were very good. He did a bachelor degree at Baruch, right? Is it like that? Yes. And he works for the WhatsApp Miami group, right?
I founded the company. It's my company.
Okay, I just wanted him to say that. Okay, so he's the founder. Okay, so happy, so proud of you. An entrepreneur as well, huh? Amazing, amazing. Congrats, congrats. Then we also have Frederico. Okay, Frederico, he did hotel management techniques as well in 2005 to 2007, right, Frederico? Am I correct? Yeah, okay, very good. He also did a master in business management and also hospitality, right? Okay, well done, very good. And he's working for a group Sand Hotel and Resorts, right? Correct? Yes, very good, very good. We also have Mr. Walter. Okay, he did hospitality management in 2006, 2008, right? Yes, very good. And he's the guest service manager at the Four Seasons Hotels in Kyoto, right? With the functions of lodging assistant director. Quite true? Yes?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, very good. So welcome all. Thank you so much for sharing your time. Okay, sharing is caring, as I always say. So thank you for caring. So guys, I would like you to introduce yourselves a little bit and talk about what you did since school, okay, and share with our guests. Can we start with the ladies? So shall we follow Larisse?
Yes, I'll be happy to go first.
So after I finished school, I went to England. So I stayed in a golf resort for a short period of time, and then I found a job in London. So I was there for a couple of years, and then I was lucky enough, the same restaurant group, which at the time was Dinner by Heston Blumenthal, was opening a restaurant in Australia. And then is when I was able to move across, half of the world to work in Australia. So I opened the restaurant here in Australia. So that was a very nice experience. And then I did like 3 years here in the restaurant in Melbourne, and then I moved away from the floor, and since then have been working with events. So events and reservations, which it's amazing, is a different part of hospitality. So move a little bit away from the floor, but I could not be able to do this job without my experience. So and that's where I'm at. But obviously now I had a baby, so for the moment, just looking after the baby.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much, Liz. Anna, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Good afternoon. Just to say, before getting into hotel school, my parents had a restaurant, so since my 13 years old that I was working with them somehow. And also before getting into school, I already wanted to go abroad. So I got a job in Switzerland. I didn't really know what it was, but I got to be an housekeeper, or seasonal housekeeper. And then I realized I really should go to school to, to grow in the career. Still, that was very important, just to say that experience nowadays know how things work in other departments. Then in hotel school, first year, I got my training in Portugal because you didn't let me to go to another country. But in the second internship, it was very nice because it was kind of teachers somehow. They saved the place that was outside in the Marquês de Riscal in Basque Country. So it was an amazing internship. After that, I went to Barcelona as a waiter at Mandarin Oriental. That was also an amazing experience. And after that, I got to Mozambique. That was my dream. Since hotel school, that I already wanted to go to Mozambique. After Mozambique, I was there about 5 years, always in F&B. It was very nice to go. Then I think we'll go a bit further on this, but going outside is a bit easier to grow in the career somehow. I got to be a mother, so I left Mozambique, and after that I was in the Caribbean. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was in the Caribbean, and after the Caribbean I went to Principe Island to the opening of 2 hotels. So as my dream was always to come back to Mozambique to be here. Well, right now I'm in Zanzibar because I'm taking care of documents, so Mozambique is just right there. And so now I will be opening this hotel school. That is also kind of a dream. It will be a private-public partnership, but the hotel will be run privately, but we will still have some connection with the hotel school that is right on the side, professional school.
Very good.
So,
thank you.
So far, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, Walter, would you like to share your path?
I think we're missing one lady.
Patricia is our guest, right, Patricia?
Okay.
Okay. She's attending. Go, Walter.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Talking a little bit about my career, previous to my studies in the Escola de Hotelaria do Porto. I had 3 years in Espinho. I did a specialization course in the reception. Throughout those 3 years, I was able to do 3 different internships. And then from an early stage, I really solidify what I want to do, and I really enjoy it. So those first 3 years where I did 3 different internships really helped me to understand what I want for my future. So I think that's a good start for someone that is unsure about what is hospitality, and really gives a little bit of guidance. So throughout those 3 years, I did an internship in Porto, in Algarve, and then last one was in Mallorca. So at that time, we had to look for the internships outside of the country by ourselves. So just a quick note that don't let you guys put you off if you need to do that research, because that will is a good challenge and will really help you to develop future relations that will bring you a lot of success. So that after those 3 years and 3 internships, I was lucky enough to start work at Hotelaria de Porto with our famous José Carlos teacher. Arigatou gozaimasu. So was learn a lot. Was amazing. We start with the kitchen, and then on the second year we did a more part of administration. So my first internship of that first year where was my first internship? I was in Sheraton, and then my second internship, and as I was graduating, was in Barcelona at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Arts. So during that time, I stayed in Hotel Arts for around 6 years, moving out through rooms division. Roughly, I was 1 year and a half. 1 year each department, so I had the opportunity to try from guest service to the club lounge to the reception, and then my last the last position that I hold was as night manager. Funny enough, I made a lot of friends, met a lot of people. During that time as well, I had many opportunities to experience other properties for a short period. We call these some kind of cross trainings, exposures. So that's being in a big company, a good point is that you have many opportunities, not just related with that company, but as well you can travel around the city or even around the world. So that gives you a lot of opportunities. So one of those opportunities was to come to Japan. So we were opening a Ritz-Carlton in Kyoto. So I joined that property, and I was here for 2 years. And then after those 2 years, I moved to Tokyo, so a big city, where we reopened our club lounge. And I was a club manager for roughly 2 years. And as well, I was not a mother, but I was a father. So
Congrats.
So me and my wife, we decided to come back to Kyoto because it's just is more convenient for us, and was a good opportunity for me. After I think over 10-12 years with Ritz-Carlton, I wanted to try a different company. So currently I'm in Four Seasons. And basically, I love my job. I don't think I will change it. And my dream is to become a GM. And in the short term is to become a rooms director. So when I'm talking about a short term, I'm talking about on the next 2 to maximum to 3 years.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you much, Walter. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Can I ask Federico also to tell us about your career as well? You're mute, my dear. Sorry, somehow you're mute. Wait. Okay. Mr. Antonio? Can you try again, Federico?
Só uma pergunta, eu já estou sendo ouvido?
Yes, you are, my dear. Yes, Piedra, welcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, for joining us. Thank you so much. Sorry, Federico.
Well, I'm Federico. I'm from Famalicão. I studied in the hospitality school in Porto from 2005 to 2007. There were great years in my learning curve. I didn't want to go out of the country. I believe I was the only student in that year that said, I don't want to leave the country. And I believe I was one of the first ones leaving as well. I did my last internship at Villa Vita Park Resort. Then I did an extra internship in Switzerland, Hotel de Trois Couronnes in F&B management. From then, I never been back to Portugal. I climbed the ladder through the food and beverage ranks. So until I reached food and beverage director in south of Spain, Fair Play Golf Hotel and Spa. It was one of the only all-inclusive hotels in Europe that could hold a higher standard. Then I moved to Jamaica, Barbados, Cuba, Mexico, and now I'm corporate operations. So I'm in charge of 5 hotels, 4 spas, the Sandoz Foundation as well. And I'm extremely happy, and I could not believe 15 years ago that I could be here now. So it's been an amazing journey.
Very good, excellent. Thank you so much, Federico. Cristiano, would you like to share with us as well?
I'd be more than happy. So graduated 10 years ago, class of 2011. Back then, I don't know if it's still the case, but the internship was in the middle of the course. I had fallen in love with hospitality since I was 15, and I wanted to do my internship abroad. So picking up on what Vasco, I think it was Vasco, who was in Kyoto, that said that we had to look for internships ourselves. Was that the case?
Walter, sorry, my dear Walter.
Walter, sorry. So I had to open the computer and look for internships everywhere. So I remember that I almost went to Hong Kong, but the period of time that we interned back then was too short, was only 3 months. So I ended up going to Canary Islands. It was my first experience abroad, and I loved it. So once I graduated, I decided, okay, I need to get out of here because I was really wanted to expand the horizon. So it was between Hong Kong or New York. I chose New York back then. Very confident because I did so well in Hotelaria do Porto. But when I went, it was a different reality. You know, I really wasn't prepared for a city like that. So I started my work at 11 Madison Park with Daniel Hum, which was already on the top world restaurants, but would later be #1. I felt I wasn't prepared for that type of challenge back then with the English, with overall service skills. So I decided to step back, work as a waiter, and pursue further education in management to understand really how Americans did management and to perfect my skills in the languages. So I did the bachelor. I studied etiquette and protocol as well for service training. And I invest more in the languages. So today I speak and write 5 different languages. So I went back to restaurants, was with an American company that does a lot of high-end steakhouses, Italian restaurants. Was there for a very short period of time because for the first time someone had reached out to me in LinkedIn to open, to go back to management and open an Indian restaurant group. It's the only Indian restaurant that is in the world's 50 best. So they wanted to open in New York. I went without a lot of expectation, but because of the challenge of, it was always with the challenge of learning something different. So I went to work for a different culture, a different approach to food. So that was my, the challenge. I went, I opened their operations in East and West Coast and then London. Was there for about 4 years. We were going to open a 4th unit, but then I got poached to come to Miami, where I am now, for a restaurant group that does really well in fast casual. So in normal everyday restaurants, they do very well, but they wanted to get into the fine dining and Michelin restaurants. This was 4 years ago. We were talking about Michelin stars, and today, actually, no, tomorrow, for the first time in Miami and Florida, it's 3 cities in Florida, Michelin stars are going to be awarded in Florida. So it was a good bet back then. We came, but I didn't like the Miami work professional parts. I loved the city. For the first time, I had a pool, I had good weather, you know, I had friends, barbecues, but I didn't like the work culture. Miami is almost the capital of South America, so to speak. It's a very relaxed culture, very not on schedule, lack of discipline. So I didn't like it. I packed my bags and I was going to move to China, to the south of China, for another challenge. But then I met my wife, so I decided to take a sabbatical year. We created my company, which is a homemade delivery only soup company, and it was January of 2020. And then the pandemic came and sales just drastically spike. I mean, we're on every TV channel. We're now in almost 20 stores with giant growth. So I said, okay, I need to make the difficult decision of, do I go to the career that I love or do I run my own project? And it was very special to run something of my own. I did it for 2 years, and now that is becoming more and more autopilot. I'm back and doing what I love. So I do consulting, a lot of consulting for restaurants, and I'm in the market, and I will probably join another restaurant group within the next 6 months. I became a little bit of more investor position in my own company because it's not really, I love it because it's mine, but it's manufacturing. So it's completely different of what I had done until here. I love hotels. Always wanted to work in a hotel, but since I graduated from Hotelaria do Porto, I haven't worked in a hotel yet.
Okay, thank you so much, Cristiane. We also have José Pedro Chantre. José Pedro, I've already introduced you because you had some problems with the connection, but now, thank God,
Good morning,
everything is
everyone.
solved. Hi. So, would you like to talk about your career since you left the school?
Yes, as I am the oldest in this group,
No.
maybe I'd rather listen than talk. But if I have permission, I would like to talk with you in Portuguese, because I am not Portuguese, but I am talking with you, and I feel more free in Portuguese, if I have permission.
Claro que sim, com muito gosto. É um gosto.
Ok, muito obrigado, meus
É,
caros
obrigado eu
colegas.
por estar aqui connosco.
É a primeira vez que eu vejo o professor, já falamos
É verdade.
algumas vezes. Eu estou a ver muita gente jovem. Obrigado por me aceitarem no vosso seio, porque somos da mesma origem da Rua de Bom Jardim, eu pelo menos. Os mais jovens talvez não. O meu nome é José Pedro Máximo Chantre de Oliveira. Sou natural e nacional de Cabo Verde, da ilha de Santo Antão, da ilha mais ao norte do nosso arquipélago. Falar da escola de hotelaria e turismo do Porto, para mim, é muito reconfortante, porque essa escola marcou a minha vida. Eu frequentei a escola de 1979 a 1982, fazendo o curso de gestão e técnica de hotelaria e turismo. Alguns de vocês ainda não eram nascidos, mas o embrião da escola estava lá. Mas antes de continuar, se me é permitido, eu gostaria de agradecer a organização deste belo encontro, deste Friendly Talk. Eu gostaria de agradecer à direção, na pessoa do professor José Carlos Martins, por esse convite. E se me permitem também este convite, eu gostaria de estendê-lo ao meu colega de curso, amigo e irmão até hoje, o professor José Henrique Varela Gomes, com quem mantenho uma amizade de muita cumplicidade. Podemos estar a milhares de quilómetros, mas a cumplicidade penso que vai se aumentando com o passar do tempo, pela pessoa que ele é, que sempre foi, e pronto, por tudo que fizeram para que eu me sentisse em casa naquela belíssima cidade do Porto. Eu cheguei na escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto já com uma idade avançada. Eu cheguei com 26 anos, os meus colegas tinham 18. Portanto, está a ver, a diferença era de 8 anos. Eu cheguei lá depois de um percurso estudantil e político que bateu a Revolução de Abril, inclusive, quando abandonei a Engenharia Civil em Lisboa para regressar às ilhas de Cabo Verde, à minha terra, e completar a luta pela independência, onde eu já estava envolvido, mesmo quando na Faculdade de Ciências em Lisboa, já estava envolvido clandestinamente nessa luta. Eu não sei se vou maçar-vos com esse tipo de conto, mas
Ia-lhe
talvez...
pedir, por gentileza, para que dissesse o que está a fazer neste momento também.
Sim, não,
Ok.
eu só fiz este preâmbulo porque talvez vocês não entendam muito, talvez tenha sido a maior realização da minha geração, enquanto cabo-verdiano e nacionalista. Mas não vou vos passar porque o foco deve ser a escola de hotelaria e o que é que me marcou. Neste momento eu não estou a fazer hotelaria, apesar de todo o percurso ter sido na hotelaria. Neste momento estou provisoriamente na diplomacia, estou como embaixador de Cabo Verde aqui em Brasília. Portanto, represento o meu país no Brasil e em alguns países aqui da América do Sul. Mas eu dizia que essa escola foi muito marcante para a minha vida, dado às experiências anteriores, que eram experiências de muita fantasia, como qualquer estudante, adolescente ou pós-adolescente, quando se entra na faculdade normalmente com 17 anos. Eu cheguei na escola já casado e com uma filha de alguns meses. Portanto, vocês estão a ver que foi um corte radical com a minha vida estudantil. Mas eu consegui criar um clima nessa escola entre os colegas e também a classe docente, com uma responsabilidade que me deixou meio a dizer, mas isto sou eu. Quando cheguei lá, que encontrei, não sei se algum de vocês teve a oportunidade de ter o Luís Garcia Contente como diretor.
Não tiveram.
Não tiveram.
Não.
Pois,
Já na altura já não era diretor.
Era um homem de extremo rigor, que muitos chamavam de fascista, naquela altura que era de muita turbulência, mas que eu passei a adorar e ele a adorar-me também. Porque eu estava à procura de rigor e encontrei o rigor com ele. Portanto, são coisas antagónicas que aconteceram entre mim, já com uma idade, e que tinha perdido o pai também, já com uma idade assinalável para estudante, e os outros que estavam a entrar com 17, 18 anos. Portanto, aquele sentido de rigor do diretor Contente, que não, aliás, que poderia não agradar a muitos jovens, caía-me que nem uma luva, porque era exatamente aquilo que eu estava à procura. Daí passei a ser exigente comigo próprio e não me permitia falhar sequer 1 milímetro com o diretor e com a classe docente, que a cada dia me dava mais sinais de respeito. Portanto, criei um clima naquela escola que, para além dos conhecimentos que eu adquiri ali, eu criei um clima quase familiar. Desde o diretor, passando pelo ecónomo, até os empregados de limpeza. eu senti-me em casa mesmo. E depois de terminar o curso, não sei se sabem, nós na altura fomos um grupo de 8 que fomos logo contratados para ir para Angola como formadores de quadros hoteleiros. E destes 8, eram os 8 na altura com maior média, destes 8 eu estava lá incluído e fui, como os outros, fui com um contrato de 5 anos, mas só passei 1 ano e 2 meses porque as circunstâncias familiares, a minha mulher tinha ficado no Porto com a bebé e então não dava, a cabeça não se encontrava. Portanto, depois deste ano e tal, eu voltei a Cabo Verde e com os conhecimentos que eu trazia da Escola do Porto, eu nunca me dei bem em trabalhar em coisas quadradas. Eu tive sempre a vontade de voar e comecei por alugar uma gelataria, depois fui diretor de 2 hotéis, depois criei um restaurante que eu mesmo construí, porque tinha ficado aquele bichinho de construtor, eu mesmo construí, que é um restaurante talvez dos mais in na cidade da Praia até hoje, que é o restaurante do Poeta. Não sei se algum de vocês conhece Cabo Verde ou a capital de Cabo Verde. E depois passei para o Sal, onde fui um dos pioneiros do turismo em Cabo Verde, no início da década de 90, enquanto consultor de investimento externo. Lá fui fazendo as coisas, de vez em quando hotelaria, de vez em quando política, fui deputado nacional e etc, etc. E hoje estou aqui em Brasília como embaixador, mas a minha profissão é e será sempre a hotelaria e o turismo. Não consigo fugir à minha formação, que é a coisa que eu mais agradeço a essa escola, e eu felicito o diretor atual, José Carlos Martins.
Eu não sou diretor, eu sou professor.
É só professor. Então,
sou professor, faço com muito gosto, faço chegar a mensagem.
Então, faço chegar ao diretor, que eu não sei quem é
atualmente. Muito bem.
E que estarei sempre disponível
muito
para
bem.
seja o
Sim, senhor. Ok.
E a escola, eu sei que já consumi muito tempo, mas vou terminar, professor.
Vou ter que lhe pedir, vou para poder aqui fazer aqui uma questão a todos. Quero lançar aqui um repto.
Eu queria, na parte final, de dar uma pequena opinião de algo que eu gostaria de propor para a escola, se me permitirem. Desculpem lá falar tanto, mas já
muito
sabem.
Muito bem, com muito gosto. É um prazer a sua partilha.
Quanto mais se fala, melhor para os ouvintes.
Fez bem.
As minhas desculpas e podem crer
não peço.
É um enorme prazer.
Obrigado por ter dado. Okay, thank you so much, Jose. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's nice to know that we have diversity, right, in terms of what you do and the path you do. Thank you so much. So before we ask the questions, I would like to ask you all, okay? And I would like to start first with Federico, because he told me that he's in a tight schedule. Is it true, Federico, or are you?
It's very true. I have to travel to Playa del Carmen, and it's a bit of traffic.
I'll meet you there.
Can I meet you there as well?
Of course. Well,
tell me one thing, my dear. Can I ask you, what are the biggest challenges that you faced in being in a different country, in experiencing new culture, new ways of living? What have been for you the biggest challenges in what you are doing and living in a different country?
Of course. The country that I felt the most difficult for me to live was in Switzerland. And you would say, you are crazy, no? One of the best countries in the world. But in Switzerland, you cannot be better than anyone. And I believe I want to be better than myself every day. And when you are in Switzerland, you feel that you have so many great people beside you. in front of you, behind of you, and it's crazy. You learn every day, but you cannot be the one that is the best, no? So I learned and I had to leave, and it was a great experience. Then when I was in Spain, I learned how to do a bad all-inclusive in the best place. So I believe in Europe we still don't know how to do all-inclusive. That time we had Krug as as all-inclusive. So imagine the price of the bottle. We could not hold the costs, and the hotel had to close 1 year later. So I was there, and they didn't pay me for 4 months. So it was how to learn things not to do in the future. So I went to Jamaica, and I believe I sent 100 resumes in my first year in Jamaica. And luckily enough, nobody took me, nobody answered my curriculums. I guess they didn't want me at that time, and it was amazing because I stayed almost 5 years in Jamaica. In Jamaica, I learned that the culture and the confidence and trust is the most important. So when I was in Jamaica, I learned that I had to learn Patois, that is their language. If I wanted to be respected, I had to speak their own language in that case. So about my second to third year, I could speak proper Patois, and everyone was with me. So it was such an amazing experience. They backed me up every day. In Jamaica, I was food and beverage director, so the company wanted to sell more wines. Imagine in all-inclusive, we want to sell a lot actually nowadays, but in 2012, they wanted to sell like 10 bottles of wine every day. And I was saying, we sell one. What can I do? So I was speaking with the team members, and I learned that the most important for them was a phone card, credit for the phone, and it was like $1. And $1 they could speak a lot. So I bought like 10 cards, and I took to the hotel the 10 cards. I said, the person that sells a bottle gets a card at the same time. So they sold like 20. I didn't even have the cards, enough cards to pay them. So from then we started that in the company. Actually, I believe the company is still doing that, and they are giving a card for a bottle of wine sold, and we started to sell like 15, 20 bottles a day. So trust and culture. In Barbados, I learned that we are all equal. You know that sometimes when you work for a company and you are a foreign or an expatriate, you work more than others.
Okay, oops. I think something went wrong with Frederico's call. Okay. So Larissa, can I go back to you?
Yes, of course.
Yes, my dear. So, okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry, Larissa. Okay.
I'm
Federico?
sorry.
It's okay. Are
Yes,
you okay?
yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I'm sorry. So I was in Barbados, and I learned that we are equal. I was saying that when we are foreign and I was a Portuguese in a Jamaican company, when they take you to another country, you work more than others. So you have to do so. And when I was in Barbados, the Barbadian government came to the hotel to do an inspection like 1 month after the opening. And they said, why the foreigners are working 6 days a week? Here in Barbados, everyone works 5 days a week. So I was working 5 days a week, and I was extremely happy, and I learned that we could all be the same, regardless of the country that you are from. Then I was in Cuba, and I learned that you have responsibility without power. And responsibility without power sometimes is very difficult to manage, and I could not stay there more than 6 months. I said, this is not for me. And I went to Portugal because my mother had cancer. And it was amazing as well because I could stay with her for 23 treatments. And on the 21st, somebody that I met in Jamaica, so imagine 5 years before, said, we are opening a hotel in Jamaica and we would like to know if you would be able, if you want to be our general manager, no? And at that time I said, of course. My mother was going out of cancer, everything was falling in place, and I said yes. And guess what? 3 days before I would fly to Jamaica, they called me and said, you have to go to Mexico because we need you more in Mexico than in Jamaica for now. The hotel in Jamaica will only open in 1 year. So I'm in Mexico for the last 5, almost 6 years. I'm a permanent resident of Mexico now. And I started in the company as GM. We were the number 7 of best hotels in the world. Then they promoted me to complex GM, which means that you care about 2 properties. And then they promoted me to corporate operations executive, which means that I have 5 hotels, 4 spas, and the quality of the group. And the most difficult thing to deal now is that people want different things. So before, they would have an objective, and now the objectives change every day. I believe sometimes people just wake up and say, I want something different. The company that is beside me can give me $10 more, or the company that is beside me can give me more time for me. And things have changed a lot, and we are working on much better talent opportunities for our team members. We are caring much more for them. We are in the process of having, for the ladies and the gentlemen that have kids, playgrounds for the kids. They can leave the kids for 8 to 10 hours while they are at work in our places. So we are doing many things for the team members to be much happier. When the pandemic started, we were offering 2,000 meals every day for the community, and we did for 90 days. So we are really caring about everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Frederico. Thank you so much. And Julius, what have been the obstacles and the challenges in living and working in Australia in this area?
Okay. So obviously, I think life can be resumed before COVID and after COVID. So I think before COVID, it's hard to get in hospitality in Australia, because hospitality in Australia is seen as students that are studying something else in university. They see hospitality as a place that you're going to work just casually, so they don't take it seriously. People in Australia don't see hospitality as a career, which can be challenging at times. So there is no really good schools here of hospitality, and people don't see hospitality as how can I say this, as not a decent job. It is a decent job, but people see as a less of a job. So it's very sad. And I think that was the problem before the pandemic. And because of that, in Australia, the main workforce are students from other countries in Europe. Like there is a lot of Frenchies, a lot of Italians, a lot of Portuguese people, some Brazilians. But obviously, Australia is very tight with visas. So these students also cannot work freely, and they have limitations of hours they can work. So the good forced work that you have are the internationals, but obviously due to COVID, all the internationals that were here for a year, because they couldn't work because everything was closed down, Australia took very seriously the lockdowns. So there was no jobs, so they could not earn money to stay in Australia. So all of them had to move back to Europe. So I think the biggest challenge at the moment that we see is definitely there is not enough people to work. So I think there's two main ones. Not enough people to work in the hospitality, and also that in Australia, hospitality is not seen as a, like a good job.
Yeah, very
Sadly.
good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Sad.
right? Unfortunately.
Yes,
Very good.
it's very sad. Very sad.
Which represents a great career, right? Opportunity for anyone who wants to go, right? With a
Absolutely.
course
If
to
you have any
Australia.
students, send my
Yeah.
way.
Okay, great.
There's
Excellent.
plenty of jobs here. So.
Nice to know that. Nice to know that.
Honestly,
Okay.
and I mean it. I really mean it.
That's
Like if you want to
amazing.
spend a year in Australia, just honestly tell them to contact me. I'll have jobs for
Okay,
them.
I will. Trust me, I will. So for anyone who can be watching us or will watch later on, so good opportunity to have a course first and then go and work in
Yeah, and
Australia.
especially like Portuguese students, you can spend a year in Australia and a work holiday visa. So you can work for a year, and it is very easy visa to get. So
Okay, so
again,
let's do the course and then work. Very good.
yes,
Thank you so much. We already have a rep in Australia. So thank
exactly.
you so much, Loris. Thank you so much. And you, Anna, what have been the goal, the challenges you've been facing in working abroad, namely where you are?
So let's say when I came to Mozambique first time was my first time in management directly, and it was a complete new world. In the first year, I can say I was working like a dog, living like a queen because I was living in the hotel. It was quite challenging, but the good thing, it's challenging in general, like timing. Also, let's say in hospitality, most people like to party at some point, and I was still just coming from Barcelona to Maputo. It was quite party all night, work all day, literally. But it was very nice. So it was challenging in the terms of a lot of work. And even I was hired by a Franco-Mexican F&B director at the time. I came as a restaurant and bar manager. And his expectation were a lot that I will come here and be a very tough person. But I got to Mozambique. I really wanted to be here. I was very welcomed by my team. And just to say, I was there in the first year in the Hotel Polana, and I had some colleagues that were in Hotel Porto Hotel School. Like one of them is still there. I will make a picture then. So again, it was challenging because it was very hard working, but I was very welcome. Then I went to the north of Mozambique. It was challenging in the way it was a remote place. It is where we now listen to, there is some attacks in Cabo Delgado. It was in the capital, it's still safe. But it was already very difficult to get food there, even for guests. It was everything extremely expensive to keep low or an average acceptable food cost, for example, was very, very difficult. But we worked with what we had, and also sometimes suffering with soft food. We must know that when we are away, we don't have the food we are used to. So you get to be on beans every day. But again, one of the most difficult work environment I was in Principe Island. Besides, I love it. It started very well. I was there for 3 years more. We started with a team of 70 people that was being trained by Azores Hotel School. We opened a 4-star hotel, everything was okay. Then we went down to our, let's say, 5-star luxury hotel. But at some point I thought people was not really in that mood. And another challenge that I had to accept is that being a woman in some places, leading a team is also difficult. I didn't take it as my first complaint. How can I say? My first reason for things to be difficult, but I had to accept 2 years after that it was a reason for sometimes not being respected. So, and it was also an island environment, a very small island, 10,000 people. Everyone, even we say STP, somos todos primos. So we are all cousins. You have your team, and sometimes like you have less good situations in work. That's the reality. And then you get to town, a very small town, and all your friends are like or either the wife, the brother, the sister. So besides, it's very good people, an amazing place. I even made a personal project there. But working in the hotel and dealing with the Smile Environment Island was tough. And let's say that we had 15 rooms with 150 people team. So, but just to wrap up, let's say, I always try to work in places where I like to be, and there is challenges. But if you are there because you want to be, you take it another way. It's not, no one put a gun in your head and tells you, you need to be in Mozambique. You are there now, when I go back, because I want. So then you know, there is challenges like this one now with my documents. You put all the documents to request for a visa, but 1 week after, you will be asked for something else. So, but when you already know, it will probably happen. You just get ready somehow for that. You are mentally prepared. So, yeah. So let's
Thank you
say
so
if you
much.
do it because you like, it's easier to take on the challenges that exist a lot.
Great advice, great advice. I think everybody is putting it into practice, right? Excellent. Thank you so much, Hannah. And you, Walter, what were the challenges in Kyoto, in Japan?
I would like to start from Barcelona. So the first full-time job was a little bit overwhelming because everything is new. But the fact that I was in Spain, is not such a huge step and really helped me to integrate in the culture, knowing the language. So as a suggestion for everyone that has something in mind to move to work overseas, start small, start a place where you know the language or you can learn it easier, because that will facilitate your adaptation and will help you to move up on your career. Then on your first year, just don't rush into things. Make friends, make relations. Trust is basic for everything. But at the same time, don't be too nice. It is a very fine line that you need to work by yourself, and you really need to build that line. So basically, you can be a very nice person, but at the same time, you need to be very clear on the expectations about what you want to do and about where do you want to be in the next 3 years, 4 years. So this is ongoing communication that really opens your professional jobs that you can have in the future, and for your employee and for yourself is clear for both sides. So there is no bad situations or bad moments. So then moving to Japan, one of the biggest challenge, of course, was the language. But I knew I wanted to be here. So I focus on the language, learning the culture. And since I've been now in Japan for just 7 years now, one of the biggest challenge that I still face is that being European and being Western, one feels like, oh, I've been in a place for 7 years, so yeah, everyone treats me the same because I understand. But in Japan, still nowadays, everything is very traditional. So you basically just need to know your place. You need to respect. You don't need to demand and ask people things because you are not on your country. So you just need to understand that part and don't have false expectations that will make yourself feel bad. So basically, just make friends, know your place, always ask. If you're asking, if you want to move up on your career and maybe you are declined because 99% people will say no, but you need to be smart enough to ask, help the people to build up a development plan so you can get it in the near future. So this is a few challenges and just a few recommendations that I have.
Thank you so much, Walter. Thank you. And you, Cristiano, what it's like being an entrepreneur in Miami? What are the challenges?
I think the biggest challenge for me was that it was a little bit, even though it's hospitality, it was a little bit different than restaurants. So I felt like I was always behind the race for the first year and a half because I was always, there was a law that I didn't know. It was a certain type of packaging law that I didn't know. It was a certain type of technique that I had to use, or a certain way to transport or seal the food that I didn't know. So I was always behind schedule, always in the weeds, in a sense that I constantly needed to teach myself. And I realized, which is a good opportunity as well for business, I realized that there's not a lot of information about that online, especially for new entrepreneurs. So I could dedicate myself now to create a course and teach people about that, because from point A to point B, what do you need? And not just, I'm not talking about business plan or anything that you can find all of that online, but from law to to different licensing, to space, to infrastructure, to all of that. So all of that was not available online. So I had to look, ask, knock on multiple doors. So that was very, very, very difficult, but rewarding, because once your product, and that's one of the reasons that made me not go back to my career and to remain with the project, was that you're dealing with people that buying your own product. So it's a certain level of satisfaction that I had never had in my career. In terms of immigration, that I saw you asking, I think you need a certain molecule in your body to take that step of immigration. I don't think there's, I see people describing it as being more brave or being better. It's not about that. I think it's about a decision. I don't think it's for everyone, number one. And I think it's a decision that you have to make, and you have to hold yourself accountable to it, because, and the farther you go, the harder it gets. So absolutely right that if you start small, if you start in London, you can go home every weekend. If you start in Mexico or Chile, you need, or Japan, you need 2 days just for flying. So I had a lot of uncomfortable situations. I had for first year, 2 years, that I would cry every day, that I want to go back. I want to go back. That's it. And there was a certain molecule that makes you hold and suck it up to certain situations that, 10 years later, you say, oh, it was worth it. But it was through a thread of a needle that you could have given up. That's one. And the second one is that I think when you decide to take a life as an immigrant, you have to open yourself to the possibility that you might not come back. Immigration is very different from 20, 30 years ago. It's just you're opening a possibility, like the book and the movies of the Lord of the Rings, that when you put your feet on the ground, you never know where your feet are going to take you. You're going to meet different people. You have people that, started in Mexico, ended up somewhere else, or started in Barcelona, ended up in Japan, or started in Cabo Verde. So you never know who you're going to meet. what opportunities will arise, and that's both in the professional level and in the love level. And then when you realize you're more Australian than you're Portuguese, or you're more American than you're Portuguese, or you're a blend of both. But if you're gonna immigrate with the intent of doing a career and coming back, you set yourself for failure. But that's just my opinion.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you.
Oh,
José
if I may,
Pedro. Yes, you do. Yeah.
I just saw in the chat that we have a couple questions as well that might.
Yes. I would like to ask them afterwards, because just after José Pedro, okay, and then I would like to talk about the questions we have. Okay, is it okay?
Eu estou deleitado em ouvir essas experiências dos meus colegas jovens por este mundo fora. Como eu disse no princípio, eu gostaria mais de ouvir do que falar. Eu estou encantado.
Mas como temos muito gosto, mas também temos muito gosto em ouvi-lo. E para fazer uma questão, diga.
Na altura eu estava a falar das minhas realizações e investimentos pessoais, mas eu gostaria só de vos dar essa pequena informação, que quando você entra na aquisição de conhecimentos, como foi o meu caso na Escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto, eu fui fazendo a minha vida profissional dentro da hotelaria e do turismo, mas chegou uma certa altura, aos 50 ou 52 anos de vida, eu voltei outra vez ao banco das escolas e fui fazer um Master Internacional de Turismo Sustentável na Universidade de Las Palmas, nas Canárias. Portanto, já com a idade de avô, voltei para fazer um mestrado, porque eu sentia, no meu percurso profissional, eu sentia a necessidade de renovar conhecimentos. E ao regressar, então eu fui para a minha ilha natal, que é Santo Antão, e comprei uma propriedade agrícola e construí um pequeno hotel rural de 32 quartos, que é o Piedra Village, ou Village, como quiserem, onde lá ir visitar, porque aquilo fechou com a pandemia, mas está reaberto e está a funcionar lá com uma equipa jovem. Portanto, só para vos dizer que a hotelaria e o turismo está comigo e vou continuar, com certeza. No final desta conversa, eu agradecia que o professor me mandasse o endereço para o meu WhatsApp da direção da escola.
Claro que sim,
eu queria dar uma
gosto.
opinião que não cabe neste momento.
Ok, muito bem, sim senhor, muito obrigado.
Eu estou para me deleitar com as experiências de cada um de
muito
vós.
obrigado pela partilha.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you so much. So now I was gonna ask you, because as you can see in the chat, there are some questions. Okay, and we have one from Carlos Fernandes. Okay, thank you. So I would like, so Carlos Fernandes asks, in your opinion, what is the future of service in this area? And he mentions like digital, robotic, human. What is your opinion about this in terms of the places where you are, taking into account, okay, Japan, Australia, Miami, right? Mozambique. Okay, what do you think?
I'll go first. I do think the beauty of hospitality is the human contact. I do believe, from my experience, I've been dining a lot because that's my favorite thing to do. And my best experiences were the ones that I connected with the waiter. When people come and share their experience, when they talk about their lives, they want to know about you. So I think, in my opinion, and I'm talking about restaurants more than hotels, the human contact, for me, it's what makes the difference. In people like that. You go to a restaurant not only to eat, you go to meet people, to be seen. So I'm against. I find hard to believe that it's going to be robotic. I don't like that. Obviously, I'm sure there is space for both things, but I do believe that hospitality has this human contact that, for me, is crucial. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be like much different than that. But obviously, I do think that people are trying to work with less people these days. From what I've noticed, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but before you used to have a lot of, like, in one shift you would have many more people than you have today. So it's basically you're working for 2 or 3 people sometimes. So it is like it is in Australia, at least that's how things are going. So you work much harder, but yeah, it's still no robots or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to comment?
Well, I share Larissa's opinion. I also think hospitality is about human. So the digital has its space, and in some locations, it's always nice to have something up to date. Let's say it will be that place you go, you will know what you will find. Might be a robotic served restaurant or hotel, but that's one experience. In hospitality, the human factor is very important, and I will take this also to another thing is like when we work like in like diplomatic hotels or this place where everyone goes, it's either it's the ambassador, it's the minister, the president, you even you don't know, but better you always know if you are talking with someone, this person well has some role in like this. And what I found, and this happened a lot in the Polana, the most, I know everyone is a minister, for example, but the most important is that person is taken care as a human being. So it used to happen that person gets there, no, this guest is very complicated, but then you, okay, let's let's give some attention and see what we can do.
Right.
And you realize people just need some connection. And yeah, so human is very important. And personally, even in supermarket cashiers, like
Mhm.
when we go, we have to make our own bill. Even with the check-in in the airport, it's terrible because, like in Lisbon nowadays, you have to do your own check-in, and I'm like, no, I'm not in the role play of TAP. Why am I doing my own check-in? So it's important. You can speak with someone. And that person, you also think about the workplace, the people working, that companies are trying to reduce people to get more profits. Let's say the digital also needs people because that is all, in another roles there will be people behind. But this is also something we need to think about because we are more, the population is growing on Earth, and we are apparently trying to reduce, again, it's a bit change of roles in professional kind of works that are being changed. But I think that is also a factor. We need to make sure we have these positions to keep people occupied and having their work. So
Okay.
let's go human.
Excellent option. Excellent option. Walter, would you like to share any comments? Cristiano?
I can. I would like to politely disagree with the ladies. I think it's not a future; it's already the present. And despite of what I feel of, I share the same opinion of my colleagues about the experience, but I think experience-based industries are on the top 20% of the market. So we talk about high-end hotels, luxury, but I think robotics and technology, it's already the present. And I think if I was to advocate for something, I would advocate the students to do a course in robotics or to have something in a resume that refers to robotics because it's the present. It starts with cashiers to supermarkets. If you think for a second, we're an overpopulated planet and we're going through the biggest shortage in hospitality labor that we ever seen throughout these last 30 years. So how is that possible? It's very simple. In a city, for example, like New York, majority of the servers, of the bartenders, nobody studied a career, or nobody wants to be a server the rest of their lives. You know, nobody goes through a degree to be a server. So you, as a hospitality manager, entrepreneur, you have to be constantly motivated. First of all, you have to have a person that does a position of constant hiring. Hiring is a full-time job to any big hubble, because you're constantly motivating and training staff for losing them, because they will take another. What's the point of being server today in a restaurant A or restaurant B? It's a difference of $10 or $15 or whatever it is. So the reliability of staff that you're going to get a server, or you're going to get a bartender, or you're going to get a manager throughout the career, it's an illusion. And when I interviewed and people ask me career progression, well, you have to move. You have to move, you get an increase of 20%, and you go to a different career. And we all did that throughout different companies and different hotels. So especially in back of the house, in food, a bigger problematic of shortage of staff, which aggravates more the bottom line of businesses, is also the food waste, of the product waste. If we think about robotics for a second, as referring to the past, we didn't have machines to cut potatoes. Potatoes used to be cut by hand. So how did restaurants like McDonald's would survive, or other restaurants that do thousands of potatoes? So now we have machines to cut virtual everything. We have machines. If you walk into a kitchen, like, I felt so old when I opened my business and I walked into a kitchen store and saw all the appliances of all I can do with the vegetables. So I think technology and robotics is already the present. I actually had to do a big presentation about that for the finishing of my bachelor's regarding robotics. So there's some restaurants already, obviously not at the fine dining. I guess that's what we all been trained to do, but there's already an airport in Amsterdam that has a bartender, which is a robot. People really don't care for the 90% of people that go out that I see nowadays, not in the fine dining, excluding the fine dining. They want the service, they want it quick, they want it fast, they want it Instagrammable. So those are the things you have to have in consideration when you launch a new project. They want it quick. For the first time, I'm an old school guy. I like to do my own groceries. I like, touch my own vegetables. But the truth is, and I don't know how it works, probably in Japan would work like that, or in Australia, I don't know, but my wife logs into Amazon, she picks the groceries or the breakfast, and next day at 5 a.m., this is at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, next day at 5 a.m. in the morning, I have the breakfast in my house, So the logistics that a company like Amazon goes through to have that made possible, they already work on technology to predict what you like, what you're going to order, what you're going to like in day A, B, or C. So brilliant what Amazon is doing. So I don't think is the future. I think is the present, if you allow me, ladies, to disagree. And I think it's very important that the sooner we get prepared for it. And I don't think all positions will be replaced, but if you have, for example, going back to the potato example, or if you have something from fryer, if you already have machines, McDonald's already works with a machine that every second puts fryers to fry at a certain rate, timed by a certain time of the day, that when it's busier, it fries more potatoes. So that's just an example. The cashiers in the airport, the banking. Now we have drive-thrus. For the last 5-6 years, we have drive-thrus here for banks. I don't know if you see that in any other country, but we have drive-thrus for banks. Like, people don't even want to leave their cars. It's a very technology-driven moment. It's also problematic for new restaurant groups because it's all about the new thing. So, back in the day, 10 years ago, we used to have a big event and you would digest and talk about that for a full year. And now it's, what's next? We're so fast paced that, we have a big scandal on TV. We talk about for 2-3 days. What's next? It's a much faster paced society, I feel.
Thank you so much, Cristiano, and for your input also, right? A different perspective. Very good and complimentary.
Professor Carlos, I'd like to as well talk a little bit about this topic.
Yes, please do.
So tech is important, is here to help us in the job that we do. And as Cristiano mentioned, is key. We should be aware of what there is available and how it works, because the guests will ask us for that, and if we are not able really to explain, we are left behind. So as a minimum, we should have basic knowledge. But as the ladies mentioned, the human part is really with what makes the difference, is really what puts you aside. So if you want to be the best, you can have the best robot, but if you really cannot talk with people in a nice way, or if you don't know why this guest is coming to stay in your hotel, and you go out of your way to make them feel special, things really didn't work. So it's a match of both tech and the human part. That's just my take on this topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good. Well done. Well done. Very good. Any more questions? Patricia, I know we have here Patricia Rocha. She presented herself. Hello, Patricia, of course. Hi. She introduced herself as she works in the area of hospitality, catering, right? And bars in Dragão Stadium. I don't know if you remember. Okay. Where it was. Okay. Would you like any questions? She's been working for.
No, I'm just glad to hear this whole experience of everyone, and it's a team that I really like, hospitality. So for me it was a pleasure to know that we have so many people spread all over. That's a good gap.
Very good, very good.
So
Excellent.
thank you for your experience that I was very glad to know about. Thank you very much for this.
Would you like anyone else would like to ask any question?
Posso dizer duas palavras antes de sair?
Por favor.
Fiquei muito encantado convosco e com essa conversa. Vocês um dia vão ver que cada vez que a gente sobe na idade ficamos cada vez mais cristãos, que é o meu caso neste momento. Eu estou bebendo só vinho e água desde há alguns anos. E para a vossa informação, estou de veras admirado com a alta qualidade dos vinhos sul-americanos, sobretudo argentinos e chilenos. Portanto, saibam viver, saibam aproveitar a vida, e um abraço muito fraterno a todos vós, e contem comigo, tomem o meu endereço. Qualquer um de vós que queira vir fazer férias, eu estou aqui. Por sinal, eu estou com uma ex-colega aqui que veio com o companheiro fazer um casamento aqui. Vieram do Porto para se casarem aqui a Brasília há dias. Não estou autorizado a dizer o nome dessa colega, mas saibam que eu estou de braços abertos para todos vós, desde que digam: minha origem é a Escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto, a casa é vossa.
Muito obrigado, Pedro. Obrigado por cuidar. So, to wrap it up, I would just like to ask if you want to give any advice to someone who's planning to go abroad, what would you tell them?
Am I the first?
Of course, nobody's.
Go to Australia.
Okay, yes, I'm ahead of everyone. Well, not from Japan. We are in Japan, in Tokyo, are very close. So I think, from my experience, I think the biggest advice that I can give is knowledge. Know your project, know what you're selling, and that's across the board. If you're in a restaurant, if you're in a hotel, whatever part of hospitality you are, know what what you're selling. I think it's key. If you're in a restaurant, you need to know everything that goes in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, all the work, the food, the dishes, your wine. I think knowledge it's powerful, and it's the biggest thing. I think for me, it was my biggest lesson when I went to work in London in a 2 Michelin star restaurant. I think before I had just like casual restaurant experience, and when I stepped in a Michelin environment, I think that was my biggest take. How precise everything was, consistency, I think it's key as well. So you need to be consistency every day. You need to give your best. You're just as good as your last service. So every day you need to
Very
be
good.
consistent. That's, I think, advice that I give, like the biggest thing for me it was. And I think the second one would be work with the best. So whatever you do, if you're working for a job, if you're looking for a job, like try to work with the best as you can, and also find a mentor wherever you go. Obviously there'll always be someone that's better than you, and don't see this as like see this as encouragement, and take that person, sit down with them. It's like, I admire your work, can you teach me? I think there's so much you can learn from everyone, and from my experience, people are very generous. And if someone came to me, and I was in charge of training at the restaurant that I was part of, and it was so satisfying. So I think there is great pleasure in teaching people. So wherever you go, just learn from people that are there, that have more experience than you, and don't be like competition or like cutting throat. No, I think it's everyone working together is always better for everyone. So I think that's my two biggest things.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Anna, now I'll go for Anna. Anna, would you like to give an advice for someone who's
Yes,
planning to work abroad in this area of F&B?
Yes, so what Larissa said is super important to have a mentor. It's something I've been missing the last years, makes it more difficult. It's important to have someone that you look at and you see, I want to be like this person. And sometimes I wonder if someday I will be that person with my team. But that is very important. Someone you can get the knowledge and that is happy to share. I was fortunate to have it also in the early years. And also someone that wants to go abroad in F&B is quite a challenging department in general. And I see it a bit as two parts. There is people that is stronger in the operations. Then there is this finance part. And it's a challenge to get it together so we can be the real F&B person in between. It's not the real is everyone, but to be a good one. And for this, I think it's important, if you have opportunity, to go and do a training in a chain hotel, because everything is in place. Like you work in now Marriott, but before Starwood, and you had already everything integrated, all the information, budget, so it's easy, and you can learn it from an early stage, standards, everything. Because by experience, then we take different paths, and when we go to small hotels, you know all of this, but you don't have these guidelines in place. Like the owner of the hotel will not ask you for that, as if you were in a chain hotel. So either, again, you work 24/7 to do all the operational part, and then all the administration part, and you can be good, but you probably will not have much life. It's more difficult. So if you can have opportunity to work in these places, go for it, even if then you want to work in smaller hotels or smaller, in different hotels. Then about moving, I think it's very important that wherever we go, we try to learn the local culture. Well, I will speak about this where I am. I am in the African continent. It's 50 countries. Each country is different, but there is still a lot, this mentality that people will get there, and it's me teaching people what's going on. And it's not me that will come from Portugal or anywhere else that will teach people. we need to learn from people. We will need to learn basic things as the seasonal fruit. For example, we will need to learn things as boat schedule so we can have products on the island. We need to really learn how people live, where people is coming from. You know, if people takes 3 hours to get to the hotel to start the shift at 6, and then we will call them lazy. But yeah, it maybe happens in New York as well. I think about that. But it's very important. We learn the culture, we try to integrate and not think I'm the master here, because that's was 500 years ago. So this is much my opinion, and we still find it, unfortunately. So just to finish, wherever you go, go with an open mind. Try to learn the most you can in the place where you are. Not only criticize, because if you learn first, you will be always try to be ahead, at least your staff, why things happen, why people are not there on Saturday, if they are Muslim, Christian. Well, it's a constant learning. So that's what I have to say. And thank you very much for this time.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Christiane or Walter, would you like to share something?
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry, I was in mute. Hi again. Perhaps the biggest lesson I took from Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto was the word discipline. I think that helped me a lot in my international journey. I think very importantly for you to travel abroad for work is that you have a certain value at a certain line of work, and you have to go with you got to go open-minded to learn, like my colleague said. But I think you should, it's be wiser for you to move to a place that you didn't have to sacrifice your beliefs. I think that's the number one. For example, New York is very United States, but New York, almost as a finance capital, it's a very capitalist place. It doesn't care about the individual; it cares about the mission and the number. So you have to be very focused and understanding on that. Now, when you manage a team, you have to understand the backends, like the 3-hour commute or the difficulties, or that you're mentoring and coaching a team that half of them are actors and they're just taking a server job to go, maybe get a role in Broadway. So understanding all that, you have to find a psychological way of mentoring without compromising. So that was one of the biggest challenges that I had to get my point across. I'm a very, very hard manager, especially when the service starts. I'm very focused on the mission, but then I'm very rewarding person when the service ends. We all get a good laugh, but especially in the Michelin rated restaurants, has to be very precise, like my colleague mentioned. But again, you manage a team of people that are tired or leave work at 2 a.m. in the morning or have an audition, and you constantly have your managers juggling with schedules. So if I was to share my own opinion, I would fire everyone left and right. But then I would have to run the restaurant by myself. So you have to use a lot of the mission needs to be accomplished. So it's up to you to use the psychology to get your point across. And you'll get a lot of mentors along the way. You just have to pay attention to the cues. I was in a project that we couldn't get a second star. And we tried everything. We tried. And I had a former colleague of mine that came to the restaurant to visit, had a little lunch with me. And he went to the restroom. And he said, "You want to know why you can't get a second star?" And I was like, "Why? You have bad toilet paper." And that was just like, what? He said, "You have bad toilet paper. It's a cheap toilet paper. It's only one leaf." And it's like, wow, this guy is so right. So I start coming to my own place as a customer, as a guest, to pay every little thing, the dust, the toilet paper, the soap, those little things. So, but it has to be in your trait. You have to be never judge, always open to learning. even with the bad experiences, I had very, very, very unpleasant experiences. We should do another segment just on bad experiences. But I had very unpleasant experiences. And the key for me to succeed was stop, understanding why was this happening and what did it mean moving forward. Instead of reacting, just sit down, absorbing it and realizing why I needed to go through this to move forward. And I think that was the biggest challenge as a human, as a, in my development. So we all go through that in different countries. And yeah, I think was it. I think that was it.
Thank you so much. Walter?
From my side, I do agree with all my colleagues. I go back in time and I have many situations where these points that they bring me so many memories. Well, I just like to ask, so if you're moving abroad, try to be that person on the team or in the hotel, whatever, in the restaurant, that person that is everyone wants to talk to. Everyone feels comfortable to go to talk to. So this will open a lot of doors to you. You will learn a lot because you basically are friends of everyone and people is trusting you. So that for moving up on a career, you will be the person to be rewarded because, yeah, everyone likes Larissa. Yeah, we should promote her, same to Anna, and so on. So yeah, be that person that everyone likes to talk to it, and be assertive. So don't put your emotions when you talk about things. Leave your pride at home, and being assertive is very important because brings clarity, brings objective for the topics that you're talking, and just helps you to move forward instead of moving backwards. Yeah, just a few points that I would like just to add in all the topics that were discussed just now.
Thank you so much, Walter. Thank you so much, all of you. I don't know if you'd like to say anything, to add something. Okay, so I'm gonna...
No, Cristiano, do you need to say anything? I thought you needed.
No. I wanted to see if there was any question.
No, now we're in school again. That's amazing. That's how I love it.
I would like to say something. I think, well, first of all, thank you all. It was a great experience. Nice to meet you all. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Professor, for, facilitating
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's very nice. I'm very grateful for my time in the school. I think hospitality is like you gotta love it, and if you seek hospitality as your career, you're gonna love it, and it's so rewarding. It is not an easy industry, but it's so rewarding, and I feel like this is proof it can take you anywhere in the world, and this is so powerful. And I think the biggest thing, and as Anna said, I think a very important thing as well, you will learn that there's no right or wrong. And it's very important to stay humble. And as she said, every time you move somewhere else to learn their culture, and you do this way in your country, but in another country will be different. And there's no right or wrong. It's just different. So bear that in mind, because you will need to adapt. I think it's a big thing as well.
Thank you so much, Larissa. Thank you so much. Can I challenge you something? Can you go to the chat, each one of you, and write what time it is there in the place where you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'll go as well. So maybe, okay. Amazing.
I think Australia and US are the most opposites.
And okay, yeah. Walter?
Tokyo, he's gone.
Yeah. Oh, what happened? Oh.
No, I'm here, but I'm trying to go back to the chat on my phone. Just like
Okay.
I'm on my phone, so I'm trying just to figure out that.
Okay. If you want, I can write for you if you want.
10:48 p.m.
Okay. I'll write for you.
1 hour left.
Amazing.
Almost tomorrow.
Yeah.
Almost tomorrow. So
I
many
think,
years.
one of the things that I've liked the most, unfortunately, it's still a male-dominated industry, but I was very happy to see powerful ladies here in great positions. I coached a couple ladies, and one of them was very difficult to coach, and I kept saying, kill them with kindness, kill them with knowledge. Kill them with kindness, kill them with, and women go through different things that men go, the hormones and all that, which makes it even more difficult for them to proceed in the career. And then the decision to have kids and all that. And she used to cry. And I used to be very hard on her. It's like, kill them with kindness, kill them with knowledge. Tears at home, even if you feel emotional, just go half hour later, give a good cry. And then when you go, and now she directs a big program of food and beverage, also in a Michelin star restaurant. So I'm very happy that you are here, and I congratulate you as well, because it's something that we fight every day to make it equal, but it's still uneven, and that's just the reality of it. And then I wanted to end with a question that I wanted to ask my colleagues, that we're almost all from the same year, but if the customer is always right or not, I wanted to hear.
Always right.
They will pretend that they are. We just pretend they are, but they are not always right.
Something I'm a bit afraid. So I went to Mozambique first time 2011, and I'm back now 2022. And I'm a bit afraid sometimes I don't have filters. So that is because of reactions. One reaction, it was someone I met in the hotel. Now is one of the partners at this hotel. And now he says, Anna, you are wise now. And I'm quite offended because I wondered, was I stupid before? But before I just laugh and don't say anything. But for example, in the restaurant, I took a lot of comments from guests that will comment on my team, saying less nice things like, oh, people is slow, oh, people something or whatever. Or yeah, I will not say. So, and before, I think I will just make what I call my best stupid face that I love, and I don't say anything.
Your poker
Now,
face, right?
yeah, poker face. So nowadays, if someone tells me my team is slow, I might give them some words. No, maybe people is not slow. In Portugal, we also have this kind of situations. It's not because we are in Mozambique. It happens everywhere. Well, not sure if I made my point. I was not very concrete, but to say nowadays, and here it's important, I make sure that no one's disrespect my team. No one disrespect my team, for example. And this is important. Not that people will do it directly or with a bad intention, but today I'm sure the guest is not right if he does that. Also, as we
it's
are
not always right.
No.
Not always right. Also regarding
People abusing waiters, that can be right, that cannot be right. I won't accept that. Drunk men abusing girls, no, they're not always right. There is situations that are wrong.
Yeah. What I was saying with harassment, if is how it is the word well. So also you need to take a position. Of course, you don't compromise your business, but you try to call people to attention somehow. And hopefully it will be with diplomacy, it will be okay, but yeah, it's not always right. But luckily we have nice guests. We make them be nice. So we make an effort also, and it's amazing. Guests make our day. In the end, we get out of bed to serve people, and they make our day. That's a very important part in hospitality.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So, my dears, if there are no more questions, I would like to say, I don't know how many thank yous, because there's not enough for using your time and sharing so much information and knowledge, and above all, experience, because we are all made of experiences. We grow with each other's experiences. And that was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing. And so on behalf of the Talent Spot, of Escola de Hotelaria e Turismo do Porto, and for you speaking in English as well. So thank you so much, because now all over the years, we have more and more foreign students, right? And we are more and more, we have more presence in more countries than ever. So I would like to say thank you, okay, for sharing what you did. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have an
Thank you.
amazing week. And
Okay.
feel free to connect, LinkedIn, whatever.
We
I'll
will,
send my
of course,
email.
we will.
And we can do this again anytime.
No, I trust me. We will.
Thank
Okay,
you for
so
your
thank
time.
you
I'm the only
so
one.
much.
I'm the
Thank
only
you.
one without a kid.
No, you and me.
Ah, yeah, okay.
You and me. Oh, look.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Obrigado a todos mais uma vez.
Muito
Obrigado.
obrigado. Muito obrigado a todos.
Obrigada.
Beijinhos.
Bom dia, boa noite ou boa tarde, como for com as palavras que estiver. Até breve.
Até breve a todos. Muito
Até
obrigado.
breve.
Muito obrigado.